Hello friends, I am Ashwin. In this video I am going to show you cute miniature played by Magnus Carlsen against John Hammer in 2003. In this game John Hammer had a white pieces. He started the game with knight to f3, pawn to d6 by Magnus Carlsen, and now pawn to d4, knight to f6, knight b to d2 and pawn to g6, and we have sort of modern defense on the board after pawn to e4. Here bishop to g7 was played, and after bishop to d3, castled, Carlsen played this knight to c6 aiming for pawn to e5, and here comes pawn to c3, pawn to e5, and now pawn to h3 stopping this bishop to g4. A knight to h5 was played, and this knight is aiming for f4, from where knight and queen can generate some checkmate threats on the white king, of course subject to the absence of this knight on f3. In this position d capture e5 was played, and here comes knight to f4 immediately attacking this bishop on d3. Bishop went to b5, and here comes knight capture on e5, knight capture on e5, and in this position black can play simply this pawn capture on e5, whereupon after knight to f3 this is just a normal game. But in this position Carlsen temporarily sacrificed his piece and played queen to g5, threatening queen capture on g2. That is a checkmate threat. So if you try to save this with pawn to g3, then Carlsen can play even this knight capture on h3 check, and once king moves say king to h2, he can even play this pawn capture on e5, or even can play queen capture on e5, where both the position is just good for black. But after queen to g5 we have this knight to g4 on the board, so queen capture on b5 was played, and now comes knight to b3. It was very important to stop this knight to e2 check, and you can do it by playing rook to e1 or pawn to c4. But in this position knight to b3 was played, and here comes knight to e2 check, and after king h1 Carlsen played bishop capture g4, opening up this h file by force. And now his idea is to play just queen to h5 in case of there is no pawn on g4, or he can try this rook to e8 followed by rook capture on e4, and beautiful queen sacrifice queen h5, and rook to h4 would be a checkmate. And he played the rook to a8, rook a to e8 with the same ideas. Here comes bishop to e3, and might be white is trying to play pawn to e3 and just rook to e1 trapping this knight, but there is no such a time for that. And in this position even you cannot save this pawn on e4. If you try to save this pawn by playing say knight to d2, then rook to e5 comes, followed by this sacrifice rook to h5, pawn capture h5, and simply queen to h5 would be a checkmate. And if you try to save this pawn by playing queen to c2, then also this knight to g3 is just winning, capturing the rook on next move, pawn capture, then simply this move, and this is also winning for black. So in this position bishop to e3 was played. Here comes rook capture on e4, and white is completely oblivious that what exactly is going on. He played rook to e1, and after next move actually John Hammer resigned. The move is queen to h5. Idea is if pawn capture on h5, then rook to h4 is just checkmate. So in this position actually white resigned. I hope you did enjoy this game. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.